Hi, welcome. Today's video, I want to do the power steering flush on this vehicle, doing it the pro way, alright? What we need is a little bit of power steering fluid flush. This is the stuff that'll clean it out. Then I have, it's a half gallon of power steering fluid, and that's going to be to flush out the rest of the liquid, okay? This will clean the system out, and this right here will flush out the cleaner and all those dirty materials that are left in there. Alright, it's a quick job. Let's get it done. First thing we want to do is identify where the power steering pump is. This is our accessory drive belt, alternator. This down here is our power steering pump. This is the area we're going to be working in today. All right, first thing we want to do is we want to check the fluid and see how it looks. And it's a cold vehicle, so that's why it's low. And if you look at it, it's got kind of a reddish look to it. And this is supposed to have golden colored power steering fluid. The reason why we're doing this power steering flush today is because the owner of the car informs me he's never done it. Alright, let's get started. Oh, and by the way, this is where it should be when it's hot, and this is where it says to add. So it's actually a little low, okay? So you want to be up here when it's hot. That's the best time to check it, is when it's hot. And it should be in between here, but when it's down here at the add, it should be about right here right now when it's cold. Alright? It should be no more higher than this when it's hot. You want to do it while the engine's off like it is now, but it's preferably to check it while it's hot. Just be careful because the engine will be hot. So when we're done, the engine should be hot. We should be just about here. Alright? This here is our power steering flushing kit. It's a tool. It's basically a pump that will siphon and put fluid in at the same time. Alright? So you put these two lines right here, go into the reservoir, and they go down into the reservoir. If you look at these two hoses, you can see one's longer than the other, and that's so you can't pull too much fluid out. There'll always be a little bit of fluid down in there with the shorter hose. Alright. With the controls on here, we've got our new fluid here, which is the cleaner, and that is this switch right here, new fluid, and then this is the old fluid, which will suck the fluid out. So what we can do is we can lower the level inside the reservoir by turning this switch on first. And what that does is it draws the fluid out of the reservoir. And then what we can do is we can go ahead and put the new fluid in by using this one. All right? And again, we want to keep an eye on the system to make sure we're not putting in too much. Just keep an eye on it. Oh, see, that's too much. So now we take a little out. I've got them both on, so it's taking on and putting in at the same time. And you just play this little game of going up and down, and there we go. Now they're both empty. Now we can turn them both off and lower the level down a little bit. And now what we want to do is we want to start the car up and let the fluid, the cleaning fluid, run through it and clean out any material that's in there that's caked up. And that's what the cleaner is there for. This is a flush where we're going to be taking contaminants out. So what you want to do is you want to clean the walls of all the lines, the hoses, the pump, and the rack and pinion or the steering gear to clean it all out. And that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to let the car run. I'm going to turn the steering wheel back and forth a few times to get all the fluid out of the steering mechanisms. And then once it's warmed up, then we're going to go ahead and put the flushing tank on there, and we're going to flush it out with new fluid. All right. One thing you do want to do is you want to turn the steering wheel back and forth because that's going to move the fluid in between the pistons that run the actual power steering system. All right, so let's run the car. Now I'm going to turn the steering wheel back and forth. Get the cleaner in there. And now let it sit for a couple minutes, and I'll do that again. I'm going to let it run, I'm going to let it warm up, I'm going to let the stuff circulate. Let's talk about when this gets done. This is the maintenance schedule from ALLDATA, and power steering fluid is not on here at all. It's not something manufacturers put forth as to when it's supposed to be done. It's considered a lifetime fluid. But let's be realistic about this. Is there any fluid in the car that can be considered lifetime? You got cars out on the road now that have 250,000 miles on them that drive just fine. Should that be running around with the same old power steering fluid? Hell no. Alright? So, it's recommended every 50,000 miles it should be done. The fluid does break down. It will remove rubber contaminants from hoses, from seals, and that's what turns the fluid that dark color. It breaks down, the protectants break down. So it's not worth it to just keep driving around with it, with that old fluid in there. So it's recommended it should be done every 50,000 miles. Alright? Capacity. How much power steering fluid does a car take? Most manufacturers do not specify how much fluid it takes when it's empty. It's one of those fill it until the dipstick says it's full type thing. So the manufacturer did not specify how much fluid is in this system. It's not something most manufacturers specify. And they'll always tell you what type of fluid it takes. This particular vehicle takes GM power steering fluid or equivalent. And basically what that means is regular power steering fluid, the golden colored power steering fluid. Some vehicles take transmission fluid for power steering fluid. This vehicle, it's power steering fluid. So you want to keep track of what type of fluid your car takes to make sure if you do this procedure, you do it with the right fluid. This container right here uses regular power steering fluid. Okay, this really all this is just a big container of power steering fluid. All right. So now we've let it run through. Now we're ready to switch the bottle to the actual power steering fluid. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go ahead and take some of the old fluid out and put some new fluid in. Get some old fluid out and put some new fluid in. And what you can do is you can turn both pumps on at the same time and keep an eye on the level. You can see it's pumping more fluid in than it's taking out. Now what we'll do, now that we've got about half the fluid done, now we're going to turn the steering wheel back and forth a few more times. What that does now is it removes the cleaner from within the pistons and gets us ready for our final flush. I am going to turn the steering wheel one more time, but that should have gotten most of the cleaner out. And now we do the same thing. Let's hit the remove first, and we install. Okay, now let's turn the steering wheel again. All right, now we can go ahead and let it run to the final until we run out of new fluid. Okay? Moving old, putting in new. That's it now. Bubbles are starting to come through. See that? Once the bubbles start coming through, you're done. That's it. It's all new fluid now. You can see the new stuff coming out is pretty clean. Alright, see how clean these two fluids in the hose are? That's how it should be when you're done. Now we go ahead and we remove our hoses. Take our dipstick and let's see if we need to remove any fluid to bring it down to make it level, because we don't want to overfill it, and it looks to me like it's overfilled. It's overfilled. Okay, you want to bring it down just a little bit. Let's check it one more time. Now let's see the hot mark. See, here's the hot mark, so we're slightly overfilled. We want to go below that. So stick these back in. Go ahead and hit remove. Bring the level down. This hose is back out. Let's recheck it. If we have to, do it again. If we have to add a little, we can add a little. Not the end of the world. You just want to make sure when you're done, it's done. Right? It's like right on the hot mark, and it's not really, it's hot, but it's not that hot. So I'd like to remove just a little bit more. It doesn't take much to remove it. Okay, go ahead and check it. Perfect. Perfect. It's not right on the hot. It's not too high. It's not too low. It can get a little hotter. It'll be just fine. Now we go ahead and we pack up the equipment. I'm going to go ahead and remove and empty the old. And that's it. The old stuff can just go into the waste oil. It's just like waste oil. You can go right on into the waste oil. All right, and that's it. That's power steering flush for the pros. If the manufacturer does specify, it's usually about a half an hour. You can see it didn't take long. All right. And my next video will be a DIY. This is special equipment. Again, shops use it. You know, I show you both ways. This is the shop way. If it's possible to do it both ways. It is possible to do this on your own. And that'll be the next video. So go ahead, like, subscribe, give me comments. Let me know what you want to see. Let me know what you like. Tell me what you don't like. All right. Thanks.